Good afternoon. I'm Joe Hinkowski with the Hinkowski team, and I'm here with David Bates from the Matheson Bates Group.
Hey, Joe.
From Keller Williams Gulfside Realty, and we're here this afternoon to talk to you about what's happening in Pinellas County regarding real estate. And the latest statistics are out for the month of February,
Right.
and they were telling us that we had over 11,000 available properties, that's both single family and condominiums, and about just over 1,000 of those sold in the month of February. So what that's telling us is about 10 out of every 100 homes are selling, which means that there's 90 that are just sitting there on the market. So
Right.
it's still a real strong buyer's market out there. Also, median home price, single family homes, was at $100,000 for the month of February, and condominiums median sale price was just under $80,000. Both of those are down by over 20% from last year. So that's the big drop from February of last year. What is interesting though is the month-to-month adjustment. Not very much, just $100 for single family homes and just a couple of $1,000s for condominiums. So I think that what that's telling us is that maybe we're closing in on the bottom of the market
Yeah,
here.
I think that's true. I think we're seeing for the last several months there hasn't been that much of a dip on a month-to-month like you mentioned, and that can show us that we're pretty much on the bottom.
Yeah, and what the experts have been telling us is that when we hit bottom, it's not going to be that V recovery. We're going to sort of meander along the bottom for a while.
Yeah, we're going to be in this for a while, I'm afraid. Yeah.
So what about distressed properties, David? What do you hear about distressed properties here in Pinellas County?
Well, there's a lot being written about distressed properties, both in the short sale market as well as in the bank-owned market, the REOs. I just read recently that 1 in 4 homeowners are underwater.
Wow.
And what that means is their mortgage or their loan is higher than the value of their property.
Wow.
And in Florida, they're estimating probably about 50% of homeowners are underwater. That doesn't mean that they want to necessarily sell their home or it's in the market to be sold, but that shows us that they owe more in their mortgage than the value of their property.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So that makes it sort of tough. So what really defines a distressed property? Is that just are they just bank-owned properties, or how do they describe that with the statistics that come out?
Well, they're talking about both those people that are applying for and trying to get a short sale, as well as those that those people just walked away from their home and the bank took it over, and so it's an REO or a bank-owned property.
Okay, so short sale, that means that it'll sell real quick, or what's that mean?
No, actually, the shorts, there's about 3 different categories, and the longest period of time to sell a home is really in a short sale, because that means we are negotiating with the bank in terms of what would be an equitable sale from the bank's opinion relative to whoever put an offer in. Bank-owned properties really sell probably the quickest. Because banks aren't in the market of owning homes. They want to get rid of them. So they will put a price on the home lower than market value, and they'll go pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Equity sales are right in the middle, those homes that are not underwater.
Yeah. So about how many of the distressed properties sold last month? Do we have any statistics on that?
Yeah, we're estimating around 50% of our sales were distressed properties.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of the market.
It is a big part, and the other big part of the market with distressed properties, or probably all of them in general, is a lot of them are cash. Over 50% of our transactions are cash transactions.
Wow. So I guess that means that there's a lot of investors out there. Is that it? Investors, maybe out-of-town buyers coming down here and scooping up that winter home that they've been waiting for, I guess, huh?
Yeah. The neat thing about investors is they know when the market has probably reached the bottom, and so they're out grabbing properties as fast as they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And what about interest rates? What have you heard about interest rates lately?
Another interesting thing about interest rates is applications for mortgages rose to its highest level this year just last week.
Wow.
Yeah. Applications were up over 12.5%.
Oh my goodness.
Over the month previous. So buyers are really seeing a sense of urgency to get out there, and they know interest rates are low and they need to buy a piece of property now.
Yeah, I was talking to my mortgage guy just today, and he said that they're hovering in that 4.75 to 5% range for a 30-year fix. So that's really quick. That's really good.
It is good. Well, the other good part about it is not just for the buyer, but also for the seller, because the seller will have a larger pool of buyers looking at their property, because their monthly premium will be lower at 4% or 4.5% than it would at 6.5% or 7%.
Yeah, and everything that we hear is that those interest rates are going to be inching up. And once those interest rates inch up, somebody who maybe could afford a $200,000 home today, if that interest rate goes up by a couple of percentage points, all of a sudden all they're going to be able to afford is a $175,000 home. So
Right.
those folks who are selling right now, they want to get their homes on the market now and get it sold, because it doesn't look like values are going to be going up anytime soon. We're going to have downward pressure from the distressed properties that you talked about,
Right.
and then
Right.
everybody's talking about interest rates at some point are going to go up with the adjustments that the federal government is doing with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They're going to be privatizing those entities, and once the private money is in the market, that means interest rates are going to go up. Those private investors are going to be looking for a better return on their dollar than Uncle Sam, I'm sure.
Well, it's funny you bring up Freddie and Fannie. I've read recently, and it's just beginning to hit the news, that Congress wants to do away with the federal government supporting Freddie and Fannie.
Yeah.
And all the experts are saying that's really going to hurt 30-year fixed mortgages, which is what most of this country is familiar with.
Yeah.
So it's nobody knows what's going to happen yet, but it is something that's being discussed in the news.
And something that you find here is that there's a statistic that I heard that people buying last year, 50% of the buyers that were out there were first-time home buyers. So I think with the first-time home buyer credit last year, that gave a lot of incentive for first-time home buyers, and a lot of those folks who were blocked out of the market when the prices were just so high.
Yeah.
And so they're still out there. We're still seeing quite a few first-time home buyers. How about yourselves?
Yeah, we're getting calls every day. People, first-time home buyers that want to jump into the market. They know this is a good time to do it. And those people that want to move up in the market.
Yeah.
So it is a good market.
All right. So just out of curiosity, a lot of times we'll talk to buyers and sellers and they'll ask about values in the marketplace. But what's really determining the value in the marketplace right now?
Well, that's a real good question, and it's a good exercise for people to be aware of. What determines the value in anything, especially in real estate, is the buyers actually determine the value of something. Mm-hmm. What they do is they can very easily do comparative shopping. They can do it online, or they can do it with a real estate agent. They'll look at 10 or 12 homes, and they'll compare each one of those homes' price relative to the one that they just saw previously.
So really it's what the buyers are willing to pay. That's what's going to determine the price in the market then, huh?
Yeah. Some of us say this is really a price war and a beauty contest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we sort of see that with the properties that we're trying to get sold as well. So
yeah.
So I just sort of in summary, we don't want to take up everybody's whole day, but just in summary, what it looks like here in the month of February is that we had inventory was down a little bit and sales were up, so that's a good thing. Values somewhat stable, maybe down a little bit, but still relatively stable from the month of January. And we're anticipating through the rest of 2011 pretty much that same thing, maybe a little adjustment up and down.
Probably.
And we're coming into really the selling season, which is through the month of June. That's where it peaks.
Right.
And then we'll see a drop off after that. So, but pretty much I think what everything, with the low interest rates, now is the great time to buy. And if you're selling, you probably want to get into the market right now.
Right.
Thank you. I didn't know what the hell you're talking